Okay, we have Psalm 126. Who would like to read that?
The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy.
The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy.
When the Lord brought back the captives of Zion, we were like men dreaming. Then our mouth was filled with laughter and our tongue was rejoicing.
The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy.
Then they said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. We are glad indeed.
The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy.
Restore our fortunes, O Lord, like the torrents in the southern desert. Those that sow in tears shall reap rejoicing.
The Lord has done great things for us. We are filled with joy.
Although they go forth weeping, carrying the seed to be sown, they shall come back rejoicing and
carrying in the sheaves. The Lord
Lord
has done great things for us. We are filled with joy. So God turns our sorrow into joy. That's the one thing we have to when we go through this life, if you're, so I guess we have to understand that we are going to have crosses, we are going to have difficulties. And God has the ability to even take, if you look at the worst crime, the worst, when we killed the God-man, he turned that greatest evil into the greatest good. And God has that ability to do that. And we'll see in the gospel how God, Jesus, he turns a trap, basically a trap, and I'll show how this was a trap he really had no right answer to, and he turns it around on him. And he turns a terrible situation into one where he can show the mercy of God. And so I think we have to really look, and this great crime, he used in order to effect salvation for all of us. It's his grace, and sometimes, that's what we have to look at. It's an unmerited gift that we have is grace. Grace is something we didn't earn. God gave it to us. It was a gift to his children. And it's nothing we didn't earn, but we have to at least accept that grace and open that present and use that and apply it to our life. And that's where we get into trouble, is when we say, no, I don't want your grace. Instead, I want my sin. I love my sin over your, salvation, really, is what we're saying. And so the other part about this is that the people had given up at this point. They were so down, dismayed and distraught that when they were brought back, they thought this is like a dream. We didn't think this is possible. It was so good. They thought that their life was going to be in this misery and terrible situation, but it was like a dream come true. And that's kind of what they're talking about here. They went from tears to having their mouths filled with laughter and their tongues with rejoicing. And then all the other people realized, wow, this is something that happened that they couldn't do on their own. Only God could do this. And that's important because God will use the very weak to make sure that everybody knows that it was him who did it. And we'll see that. He typically will use the humble. If you look at St. Joseph Cupertino and some of the other, even Father Solanus, he uses people that the world kind of doesn't think much of, or St. Teresa of Lisieux. That's another one where they say, well, she's a worthless little nun in the convent, didn't do anything, and yet she's a doctor in the church and a saint for missionaries, and she's just an amazing saint. But God uses a little to confound the proud and the strong. And so it's not her power, and we could see that, but it's God working through her. And it was her trust in God, and her trust in God's goodness, and her realizing that that humility where I can't do great things, I can only do small things, but God can do great things, and I'm just trusting that he'll do the great things that he wants to do, if any. And so I think that's and kind of important too. we also have, so the tears, they last a little while, but we'll be rejoicing forever. That's another aspect of it, is that we may go through suffering here on earth, but our ultimate destination is heaven. I mean, that's what we're shooting for. We're required to have hope for heaven. That's, as a Catholic, you have to have hope that you're going to heaven. So, I mean, some people say, well, I'm going to hell. And I'm like, you're not allowed to do that. You have to have hope for heaven. It's kind of a requirement. If you want to be a Catholic, you have to have hope for heaven. And that's also kind of turning on God's mercy too, because I mean, it's a bit of pride to say, well, I'm such a great sinner, even God can't forgive me. Well, no, that's not true. We don't want to despair. And I think that's part of it, is Satan's going to always say you're not good enough. The accuser of the brethren has been cast out, and he is the accuser. And so Jesus is telling you, no, you're my child, I love you, and I'll help you, and you can do this. And Satan is like, you're no good, you'll never be any good, and you might as well just hang yourself because you're no good. That's what Judas did, right? And that's what he wants you to despair. And Jesus is just the opposite. You've come a long way, and you can go more, and I'll help you. I'll help you go further. And I think we have to keep that in mind. And it's that we may be going through suffering now, whatever that may be, but our ultimate home is heaven. It's not earth. And so when you keep that in mind, yeah, I'm going through difficulty now, but I'll get through this. And if I live, it's going to be Christ. What was Christ? His life was suffering, right? To live is Christ, to die is gain. And so when Paul died, Paul went to heaven. He said, I went to the third heaven. He said, I knew a man that went to the third heaven. And he said it was incomprehensible. It was so amazing. And so that transformed him, and he got beating. I mean, he was stoned to death, and he whipped 39 times. It was 40 lashes minus one. I don't know how many times. They left him for dead. I mean, he was abandoned. I mean, he went through, what's that? Shipwrecked, yeah. Bit by a snake. He had a lot of stuff happen to him, but he knew that his home was heaven. And so that no matter what happened here on earth, he was going to be, that was his ultimate destination. And so he had that hope. And I think if you have that why, you can get through any how. And so there's a book, Viktor Frankl, and he went through the concentration camps in Auschwitz, and he said, if you have a why, you can get through any how. And he said the people that survived were the ones that had a reason to get through this terrible, terrible torture and grave injustice that happened over there. But just to kind of keep that in mind.